Hey guys, Kevin Yates here. Now I want to talk to you today about rotator cuff rehabilitation exercises. In looking at a lot of the exercises for the shoulder and for the rotator cuff, when it comes to rehabilitation, a lot of them have one critical key component. In one word, it's function. I mean, if we think about it, a lot of the movements that we do in rehabilitation, whether they're resistance bands or using dumbbells, lying on your side doing external rotation, or standing doing internal rotations with bands, doing external rotations, doing the isometric patterns with flexion, extension, abduction. What they lack is function. They fail to train the rotator cuff in ranges of motion and movement patterns that we use pretty much on a day-to-day basis. When you think about it, how many movement patterns do you use that go this way or this way? Or if we were reaching up overhead for something, which is something that we do a lot, right? Would you reach up this way, right? I'm going to probably not reach up like that. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to reach up like that. Now, did you catch what that was? Watch this movement again, right? If you look at that, that resembles one key exercise, a very beneficial exercise that can be used in rehabilitation of the shoulder and the rotator cuff, but is commonly advised against. People, fitness professionals and medical professionals and therapists and whatever, will tend to really advise against this exercise, but it's an upright row. Now, the problem with the upright row is that there's usually a few mistakes that are made, which makes the exercise a little bit more problematic for the shoulder. But the exercise in itself isn't the problem. It really has to do with the ability to perform the movement safely and effectively. We just have to condition the muscles to do it properly, and there is no problem. So in looking at an upright row, here's a key thing. One, obviously, we're looking at posture, right? So a lot of people, what happens is they get stooped down here, right, in this forward hunch posture due to tightness, restrictions, whatnot, weakness in the upper and mid-back muscles that put them here, and trying to do any kind of overhead movement. If you try and do this, because what happens is the angle of the scapula, it narrows down and it decreases the range of motion at the shoulder. So if you're like this and you try and reach overhead, that's as far, and I'm really trying, that's as far as I can reach. But simply just by pulling my shoulder blades down and back a bit and retracting them and standing straight, now I can get up overhead without a problem. So it's the same thing with an upright row. Posture is key. Secondly, obviously, we want elbows above the wrists, right? When we're up here, a lot of times what we'll see is a weakness in the pattern. People end up performing it kind of like this, where the wrists take on a lot of strain, right? They might try and really elevate the shoulders to get everything up there, and that starts becoming a problem, not just for the shoulder, but the neck as well. All right, so it's elbows above the shoulders as well. Now, the key to doing that is this. Right? A lot of people say, well, that's great if you have the range of motion. What if you don't? Well, in developing that range of motion, the key to it is not to perform it out in front of you, but to go up. When you're pulling up, you've got to pull back at the top. And when you pull back this way, it's retracting those shoulder blades. It's not just moving the arm backward. It's pulling the shoulder blades together and back to open everything up. And it'll really open that shoulder up, right? So you've got different ways that you can use. You can perform an upright row with bands. I like the band because I can perform it with two-arm movement pattern, or I can perform it single arm. So we can get them with two-arm patterns as we go through, right? Just pulling up to about upper chest and then really retract those shoulder blades at the top and right back down. Just up and squeeze at the top. Or, like I said, you can perform it with one at a time, right? Just performing up and pulling back, all right? You can also use dumbbells. You can do them two-arm dumbbells, one arm, alternating arms. I mean, think about the movements that we use. We don't just move in robotic fashions. We're moving one arm at a time and sometimes also. Don't dismiss the upright row as a great pattern you can use to help rehabilitate the shoulder. And in fact, when things go wrong at the shoulder is part of what I call the triad of muscle imbalances. And that triad involves the shoulder, the abdominal complex, and the hips as well. So what I'm talking about with the triad is that typically when imbalances and problems exist within one of those, then there's problems that exist in the other. And for example, the shoulder, if you have problems in the shoulder that persist for a long enough period of time, it's just a matter of time before it starts affecting one of the others, or both. the lower back starts to get affected, the hips can get affected, then it goes all the way down to the knees or the neck. I mean, it goes all over the place. So that's one of the key things that I teach in my program, the Muscle Imbalance Solution, is how to not only work with mobilizing and stabilizing the muscles at the shoulder so that you establish proper movement, proper stability, and better function overall, but also that entire triad, the abdominal complex and the hip complex. All right, so keep that in mind. The upright row definitely is not a shoulder destroyer. It's just a few key tips that you need to perform it safely and effectively, and will actually go a long way to help improve your shoulder function. All right, leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and if you have any other comments or feedback, let me know as well, and I'll talk to you soon.